Well, welcome. We are back with the Stories of Hope podcast, and I've got two new friends I'm excited to introduce to our church family, Doug and Deb McGill. Thank you guys so much for just coming out, for saying we'll sit in here and have a chat and talk about our story. My heart with Stories of Hope is to capture stories of people in our church community and how God is at work in their life. Sometimes I think what can happen in a church our size is a lot of the stories are exclusive to the platform or to me or other pastors. Mm-hmm. And God is at work in so many powerful ways all over our church. And so I want to tell those kinds of stories. So let's start with this, though, to kind of set the stage. Tell everybody how long you've been married, how you met, kind of some of your backstory. Doug, we'll start with you.
All right, we've been married 35 years.
Congrats!
Yeah, no,
way to go.
She's a very patient woman. Obviously, she's my angel. We met at Eastern.
Okay.
And,
Eastern Washington University.
Yep,
okay.
We were both attending there, and we met doing some intramurals, did some softball, and we kind of ran with the same group of friends, and we told everybody we were just friends for a long time. And that developed into, being more than friends. But the good thing is I think we're still friends, which is good, so.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Backbone of marriage. So Deb,
yes.
You guys met in college.
Yes.
Yes. And then maybe dive into this a little bit. You guys, when did teaching start? Tell us about that. Because was that right away or was that later in life?
No, when I met Doug, he was in the teacher program at Eastern.
Okay.
I graduated from Eastern and then went back later and got my teaching degree.
Okay. Awesome.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what about faith? When or how did faith enter your guys' story?
This is an interesting story that I think we'd kind of forgotten about, but I grew up at a Presbyterian church in Wenatchee.
Okay.
And so that's where I got my start in my faith.
Yeah.
My mom tried to take all three of us kids to church, but I was the only one that went willingly.
Good mom. Good mom.
Yes. So that's where my faith journey started.
Okay.
And then just kind of been in and out of, my faith journey until when I met Doug. After we got married, we decided to make Spokane our first home.
Okay.
Even though we didn't have family here, we knew this was the best chance for Doug to get his first teaching job.
Okay.
At Rogers High School, where he met Gary Kite, Kelly's brother.
Oh, yeah.
And so Gary Kite is actually the first person that invited us to church as a married couple.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So there's some history and some interwoven, some connectivity here.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so that's when we started our church journey together.
Okay. How about you then? So growing up, what was faith like in your family?
It wasn't a thing.
There. Okay.
It wasn't a thing. I was kind of raised by the neighborhood.
Okay.
I was latchkey. I'd eat dinner with these guys or dinner with them, and I'd go to church with them. And back in the day when I was growing up, I enjoyed the Mormon church the best because they had a gym and a pool. So I thought
some things to do there.
Yeah, so it had the amenities. But when I was 16, my fifth and sixth grade teacher, he's my godfather, Jim Schaffner, his wife, took me to church, and I got baptized in the Catholic Church and went through that. And then kind of I always had faith, I always had a belief, but I didn't have the attendance in that. And then as Deb and I got married and moved forward, Gary Kite was a big influence, but then Scott Lewis, who ran the Young Life program, came and volunteered and coached with me.
Okay.
And we were able to go to Malibu, and we helped out with Young Life, and that definitely was another accelerator. We went to, Life Center Church?
Yeah.
But it was perfect for a PE teacher and another PE teacher. We met at the Northwood Gym.
Okay.
So, and then we moved to Wenatchee. We had a Bible study with some good friends and that, but we didn't really have a home church. And then after COVID, we started attending Grace City and immediately fell in love with Grace City and got involved at a level like we are involved here.
Yeah.
And we're really happy to be here.
That's very cool. Okay, and how about family, like kids?
We have 2 sons. We had them both when we were living in Spokane.
Okay.
Lucas and Nick, they are 31 and 28.
Okay.
They are both married.
Yep.
They got married within a month of each other.
Wow.
Yeah, in 2019, right before COVID.
I thought
hit.
my family was nuts. We got married my sister and I within 3 months of each other, but 1 month.
1 month of each other. It was Nick's senior year. He was playing football at Whitworth. It was kind of a crazy season. But like I said, they beat COVID, so they both got to have their weddings and honeymoon.
Yeah, that's good.
And since then, they've blessed us with 5 grandchildren.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ages 4, 3, 2, 1, and almost 8 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Our oldest attends, and
Yep.
with our grandkids
Yep.
are here, 2 of them, and so it's been great getting to worship with them.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. So you had mentioned faith and your upbringings there slightly different. Mom took you to church, didn't grow up with that. Eventually, it kind of became more prominent in your lives. Then you guys got married. It became also more significant. Then you moved in with teaching to Wenatchee. Kind of felt displaced a little bit post-COVID, really re-engaged. And that leads us up to kind of what we want to talk about in our time together. So you were both teaching in Wenatchee, right?
Yeah, we're in East Wenatchee at
Eastmont.
And Deb had taught 28 years at that point, and I was 30, going on my 33rd year.
Okay.
And
So 38 years.
28.
28, misheard you. 28 and
32.
32.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been teaching for a long time. Lots of people, and I know this because I've talked to you about this, and I've talked to people about it too. Lots of people love you. You were beloved teachers and had so much influence in young people's lives and so many great colleagues. And you were also pretty involved in coaching.
Yeah.
Football.
I had 35 years of coaching, and I coached football, and I coached JV golf. That was a pretty good deal. No, it was awesome. But lots of team dinners at the house, and we had coaches that come over on Friday after home games. It was we were blessed with a nice house that we could host and have people there. So, but Deb and our whole journey as teachers, we'd never been in the same building until a year and a half ago, and we were both. She was teaching 9th grade health, and I was teaching PE, and we shared quite a few of the same kids. So it was really felt like we were really having an impact on those kids. They got double teamed.
There you go. I love that language. So just for our listeners and for our church family, 18 months ago, it's almost like everything's going amazing. You guys are teaching together at the same school. You're in some of the most golden years of your career. Family's healthy, wonderful. Things are going well, and you decide you're going to go to Mexico and just have a great, which I hear is awesome. I've not been to Mexico yet, but I hear it's awesome.
All of our trips but one were awesome.
Yeah, all of our trips but one. And this really leads to the story. I want you guys just to take us back there. And however this comes out, I don't really have like a scripted question and answer. I just want this to just go, because obviously this is part difficult and challenging, and still adapting to all the things in all the ways in which your guys' life, and Deb, for you most significantly, has changed in the last 18 months. So take us back to that day, kind of what led up to it, trip to Mexico, and kind of how this accident occurs that ends up creating a whole new world for you guys.
Yeah, well, I think I talked to your wife about this one day, about how come late winter, when you live in the Pacific Northwest, you kind of start to crave some vitamin D.
You're frozen.
You're frozen. So I think it was about February I started wanting some sunshine. So I planned we had a busy spring break coming up, but we thought, we could go to Cabo for 5 days. Yeah. That would be great. That'd be enough. Go get some sun, come back. And I was going to start coaching after spring break, and Doug was already coaching golf. And so we just wanted a quick getaway to go chase the sun. And so we did. And we were in Cabo. It was our 3rd day there. And we just kind of got in the habit of we'd get up and watch the sunrise, because in Cabo it rises from the water, which is different than here. So we would just get up early and then have some time by the pool, go take a nap, and then get ready for dinner. That day, I didn't think I'd had enough sun. And so
Understandable.
yes. And so when it was normally time to get out of the sun, Doug went up to the room and
Siesta.
to take a siesta, and I went back down, and we made some friends by the pool, and I was just hanging out by the pool, and then I really don't. That's the last I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what do you remember next?
The next thing I remember is waking up at the hospital, and I looked at Doug. Doug was the only one that I remember, and I asked him what happened, and I asked him.
It's okay.
I said, "Honey, am I paralyzed? I can't feel my legs." And he said, "Honey, you were in a bad accident." And we didn't have much time together because I remember he said, "You're in a bad accident." And he said, "But I need to ask you before they take you away, where are our passports?" Mm-hmm. He couldn't find them. I'd had them in my beach bag. And I told him, I said, "Well, they were in my bag." And he said, "Well, they're not there now." So our first thought, I got wheeled into surgery with him thinking I'd been mugged.
Okay.
And someone
we had
had
no
our
idea.
passports.
Yep.
And so before I went back to surgery, I dawned on me that I'd taken the passports out and left them in our hotel room. And so I tried to tell a couple people,
Okay.
tell my husband the passports are in the room. He never got the message, and we realize now it's probably they had no idea what I was saying in English.
Language barrier.
Yeah, language barrier.
Yep.
But that's so in my mind, I went from laying by the pool to a Mexican hospital to a wheelchair.
To surgery.
Yeah.
Okay. So Doug, from your experience now, maybe fill in those gaps, and 'cause there was some obviously trauma and memory loss connected to the accident.
Yeah.
So, and the first thing you said is because you didn't have the passports, you were like, I don't know if my wife was kidnapped and mugged and beaten up, and now here we are in the hospital. And
he had no idea.
And the thing, I wasn't with her, which was hard. Yeah. So they came up and knocked on the door, and they said my wife had been injured and she was going to the hospispittal. And I was thinking, oh, she might have broke her arm or something. I mean, I had no idea that it was as severe as it was. And I, recalling.
And who came up? The hospital?
It was
the hotel staff.
The hotel staff came up.
Okay.
So they came up and let me know, and I went to the hospital, and I got a chance. I was glad I got to see Debra before they took her back, and it was hard, but we prayed over her, and just I was concerned about the passports, and I was concerned about what happened, but I had a peace that it didn't matter how it happened. It just, we were here now, and there was some hard things that were coming up. And when they took her back, I went back and looked for the passports, and then I came back because it took like 5 hours for the surgeons to come in because one of them was a ways out, and I had to sign a document. It was a 10-hour surgery. They did 5 in the front and 5 in the back, and I had to sign a document saying I understand that she might not survive this surgery.
And this was a neck surgery.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was that was a hard thing to do, but so I spent the night.
And this is all in what? So just for frame of reference, like, go take an afternoon nap. You wake up to the hotel staff saying your wife's been harmed, she's hurt, she's injured, whatever it is. This is probably, you're in a different country. She's already gone, right? She's already at the hospital.
She's at the hospital.
So you get a taxi, and you go to a hospital, and all of a sudden your wife's there.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up and says, am I paralyzed? I can't feel my legs. What's happened? This is the first memory you have. And then you can't find passports. So you're thinking, we're wondering, what happened? We don't know. Maybe those were stolen.
And the story gets filled in later. There was a lady that was at the pool that got a hold of the consulate and told us kind of what happened, and what she didn't see Debra fall, but there's steps that go up, and she was at the top of the steps, and it kind of had just like a little stecco like side there. It came up to your knee, and it had the railing in the middle. And the gentleman said that she slipped and went over. And when she found her, that Deb was not breathing for like 12 minutes, that she was like, it was a dire situation. So there's the first miracle right there.
Amen,
that her brain functions, and I thank God every day for it, because she is so present. And it's been, I can't imagine caring for a person that wasn't there she's so good about always encouraging me to.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so let's just, we won't spend too much time here, but I just want to fill in the gaps for people. So there's a surgery, you're trying to figure out where the passports, we eventually find out they're back at the hotel. You have to sign a waiver. Like, I don't know if my wife's going to make it. There's also, like, this wasn't free.
No.
Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we were blessed that we were only 6 miles from this hospital, and the hospital, if I was to visualize a Mexican hospital, this wasn't it. This was a private hospital, and it was a hospital that was attached to like Howard Johnson, and a lot of Canadians would come down to do like shoulder or knee replacements, and so that was like right next to it. And the surgeons, according to the gentleman at Providence, did a great job. He showed us all the x-rays and everything and said, maybe I'd have done this a little different, but he said it looked like they did really good work. So it was, I'm sorry, I lost my track.
Oh, just kind of like it wasn't free. I remember you sharing with
sorry,
me that
thank you, yeah.
They were like, hey,
Okay.
if we're going to do this.
Yeah, no, it was.
You're in a different country.
Yeah, Mexico, you got to pay up front. And it was, Deb's always been our finance. I mean, she does all the finance. She's really good at it. And
she had all that organized.
Yeah, she had all.
You needed to step in.
Yeah, so I luckily knew her password to her phone and was able to access stuff. But I didn't know how much we had in our account and that, so I just, figured I'd grab the credit cards and I put like $60,000 on those, and they did the surgery in that, and it was an ongoing process. Well, looking back, we've been blessed with a couple of investments we made, and my wife was talking to our youngest about maybe getting some Bitcoin. So she had the next day.
It's amazing.
The next day
story.
I look into our account in America, and I see, we got 60,000 in our savings. What, you holding out on me? What are you doing with 60,000 in there? And then I remember
when she bought it wasn't 60,000.
Yeah,
I think Bitcoin might have gone up in value quite a bit.
Yeah, no, that would have been good, but we invested in Debra instead. So it was a blessing to just have that already there, because it was really a hassle to get your credit card or to get the bank to release the amount of money that you needed in a timely manner. And
okay, so now there's more to this though. So you get through the finance part. You're like, okay, we're figuring this out. We got to pay for this. We have this surgery, and it was 10 hours. Is that correct? Or it was supposed to be around there.
Yeah.
And they did a good job based on what you've seen or having doctors look at it since. But then tell everybody, like, how'd you get home?
Well,
because that was a little bit of an adventure too, right?
Yeah, everything in Mexico was pay up front, including the flight home. We got just a medical Learjet?
Just a medical Learjet.
I
I was wanted to ride on a Learjet, but this wasn't quite what I
this
pictured.
was not,
Yeah.
But even that was pay up front, or we won't give you a ride anywhere. The hospital, I don't know what they would have done if we didn't come up with the cash, but they were like, you need to pay us before you leave. And so the whole, for us to get through the surgery and to get out of Mexico, we had to come up with about $200,000 between us and relatives, which thank you God that we had relatives and resources to help us with that. Thankfully, we've since got reimbursed for that.
Praise God for that.
Praise God for that. Yeah. So
how long did this take? So the surgery was a 10-hour surgery, but then you're in recovery. Like, when were you able to actually
I was in the hospital for a week.
Down in Mexico.
In Mexico, yeah. I ended up injuring my C6, C7 vertebrae. Yeah. And so we've learned so much about spinal cord injuries. But basically, that left me paralyzed from the armpits down. Okay. And also, as if that's not enough, I've got the use of my arms, of which I'm super thankful, but not my hands. Mm-hmm. I've got about, maybe 30% use of my hands. Mm-hmm. So that's been added to the challenges of being in the wheelchair, but then not having the use of my hands to. So,
Okay.
And looking back at Deborah, ever since COVID, had always checked the box to get the travel insurance. And the travel insurance was awesome. Our youngest was chatting with them, and they said that they would pay for a commercial flight. Well, there was no way we were going to be able to fly commercial. They had Deborah on a stretcher, and they basically put her in a big old inflatable burrito, and she just to keep her nice and steady. But anyway, they paid the $45,000 for us to fly home, and then they paid another $45,000 in medical and for our extra stay and just extra stuff. So we got $90,000 from that insurance, and they paid right away. Unlike our other insurance, we needed. It was arduous, but we did get there. So.
Okay, so let's explore this part. So you're there for a week. You eventually get home. What are the activities and the events and the realities now of coming home back to Wenatchee, and you're in a wheelchair, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Well. Yes.
Or not right away.
Not right away.
Okay, tell us about that.
We flew directly to Spokane.
Okay.
And I checked in at Deaconess.
Okay.
And I was at Deaconess for about 5 days before I then got moved over to St. Luke's
Yep.
Rehabilitation Center, and I was there for almost 6 weeks. During that time of hospital stays, first of all, Doug was able to stay in my room with me every night, of which I'm so grateful. We had so many great people taking care of me. But during that time, we had a lot to figure out. Where do we go from here? When both of our boys decided to marry and stay in Spokane, Doug and I we were blessed with a one-level house that we bought in 2020.
Okay.
We knew our ultimate goal was to teach 3 more years and then move here into the house to be closer to our boys.
Via retirement.
Okay. Yeah. So when we were at St. Luke's trying to figure out what to do, it just made sense to move into the one level in Spokane because our home in East Wenatchee has many sets of stairs.
Yep.
And it's just not accessible to me. So we have been, that's when we moved into our home in Spokane, and we've been there ever since.
Ever since, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then tell everybody, we talked before, like you were hoping to retire a few years after this trip, but some pretty cool and healing and emotional and powerful things also transpired with the teaching community back in Wenatchee and East Wenatchee.
Yes.
Talk us through that. Either one of you.
Oh.
Go ahead, baby.
Okay. Well, I know I'll explain first because I remember when Doug and I started talking to Ryan about teacher days.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are these? What are these days?"
Yeah.
In the corporate world, I guess they'd be like kind of like paid time PTOs.
Yeah.
Teachers in the state of Washington, we get 12 sick days a year. If you don't use them, they accrue. In the teacher world, if you have, as long as you maintain a balance of 20 sick days, you can donate your sick days to people in need.
It's really pretty common, but the amount of days we needed was not common.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Doug could retire. He was fully vested. I had 28 and a half years, which you would think is really close to, it is close to 30 a year and a half. But I guess, what would you call it? Our benefits, the retirement monthly would be almost 50% less.
Right. So it's a big
just
threshold.
to retire a year and a half early. Yeah. So one of my friends said, "Well, Deb, why don't we just ask people for sick days?" And I was like, "Okay, that's a great idea, but that's not going to get me to my 30 years of retirement." She goes, "Well, let's just try to get you through the year." So we put out at the beginning of that next school year.
Well, can I tell the story first about going back?
Sure, because because I feel like that was a total God thing.
Yeah.
Two, we'd been kind of laying low in Spokane.
We've been laying way low.
Way low, because to go out in public.
But it's understandable.
But
And it's
we
a
were
part
learning.
I want to explore, which is which we'll get to that right after, I suppose. I probably should have done it first, but just, this is a momentous, massive physical, relational, emotional, spiritual.
Ooh, yeah.
This is a huge change.
This is turning the world upside down.
It sure is.
Our
It sure
world
is.
got
So-
turned upside
So it
down.
makes sense, and we'll return to it and explore it. But like, you were laying low, you're in the process of grief, adjustment, probably frustration, and I want to touch on that. So, in light of being there was some reticence to go see your
Anybody.
community of friends or anybody back in Wenatchee.
Yeah, it
Yes.
felt like a blessing to be here because we were kind of more sheltered. Because
Yeah.
us going anywhere in Wenatchee, everybody would be asking, how Deb's doing in that, which is, fine, but it would have been harder. Debra told me, I think it was in June, we always would have a big teacher meeting at the very beginning of the school year. And she says, well, I'm thinking that maybe I want to go back. And I was like, really? And she's like, well, I feel like God's putting on my heart to go back. And
God had put it on my heart a couple months before that, but I didn't tell him because I didn't want it to be true. I didn't want to go back and face people and see their reaction to me in a wheelchair.
So let me ask you a question, just point of clarity for me. You guys have been attending and participating at True Up Church for how long?
we first came September, like 15th or 16th
Okay.
a year ago.
So that would have been what, like 5 or so months, 6 months, 7 months after the accident?
Not even that, yeah. Like 4 months?
4 or 5
Yeah.
months?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I want that in the so your guys are not only, I know this from a daughter in a wheelchair, like the amount of adjustment that you are coming home to, just on the physical level. Like, now I have a chair. The chair doesn't get in the car. The chair doesn't get up the stairs. The chair doesn't get into the house. I need help brushing my hair. I need help with all sorts of things I
Everything.
didn't need help with
Everything.
before. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, in our home with a daughter with muscle disease, this is like a kind of a slower, like almost like a crock pot experience where it's like she's like slowly lost some of that independence and mobility. This is abrupt.
This is
This is
bam.
immediate. And so again, just for context for people, like the laying low for 4 or 5 months is pretty normal. Pretty like, imagine all the things.
Yeah.
You'd have to build a different car. You'd have to get there's a lot of things that you guys are adjusting to.
Yes.
So it's in that context that you speak
In
up
that
and say,
context.
the Lord is calling me to go back to see some of these teachers.
Yeah, it's like an event where the whole district, we call it opening day. The entire district gathers, custodians, bus drivers, everybody.
Yep.
And Doug and I were going to be honored with our 20th year of teaching in the district. And I felt like I wanted to go back so Doug could be honored for his 20 years because he just had to retire and kind of just ride off into the sunset, no party, no
Kind of
celebration.
disappear.
Yeah, just kind of
Exactly.
disappear. And the other thing is I had so many people reaching out to me wanting to just see me because a lot of people heard about the accident and they had different images in their mind of what kind of condition I was in.
Yeah.
Could I talk? Could I move? Did I have a halo? And so many people were coming to visit us and they felt better after they saw us that I thought it would be really good too if we could let everybody go see us in a very controlled way. Like we didn't show up early, we didn't stay late, we made our appearance and then left. But I also thought it would be good for everybody to just see us all at once, get that over with, and they could see that so they could see for themselves that we were doing okay.
Yeah. Before you share more about it, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
In this initial 5 months of massive physical adjustment, can you recount at all some of your inner monologue? Like, were you mad at God?
Oh boy. God and I are still working out some things.
Yeah. Yes. And for all of our
yes.
listeners, I had permission to ask her that question. Because people are like,
Yes.
wow, man.
No, and that's okay. That's okay. I had a friend ask me that, and I honestly can say I never have been mad at God. I think the biggest thing I try not to dwell on this anymore, but was like, just why?
Yeah.
Why, when we felt like we were in this position of doing what God wanted us to do?
Yeah.
The position that I was in at Doug's school when we were teaching together for the first time, I felt like that position had come about through prayer. And I really felt like I was right where God needed me to be, teaching these 100+ kids a day.
Yeah.
And I really felt like I was doing God's calling. So my biggest question is, why did you take me out of that? Why, like, I thought I was doing what you wanted me to do.
Yep.
What do I do now? And so those initial thoughts, I was never mad, but I just questioned why.
Yeah. Thanks for.
And what next? Like, if that's not what you had planned for me, what do you want me to do now?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the phase that we're in still a year and a half later. Just like, what's my purpose now? How do I make a difference when I felt like I was making a difference every day?
Yep.
Yeah, how to do that now.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And now I think that can be a helpful, like, emotional context for then going back to the school, because I think part of what happened at the school, it starts to shed some light on how God is using this story and the suffering and tragedy, which is real and like painful and not like something we just go, yeah, I'm signing up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But God is so good. He's at work. So Doug, maybe just share about that. So you find yourself back at the school and kind of how just the community of people there provided such hope and measures of initial healing. Like it takes time, but I think there's a lot of grace and a lot of hope in how God was at work through that. So share that.
It was going back for the visit was huge, and just Deb being brave enough to do that. I was just so thankful. And so we were they had half of the gym and there was a net down so nobody could see us. And then Aaliyah, our principal, who's awesome, he arranged. So the people at the junior high knew we were going to be there, but nobody else did. Mm-hmm. And as we come around the corner, got a standing ovation. It was super amazing. I mean, it's like nothing I'd ever experienced, right? Because it was just, you could feel the appreciation and you could feel, because I mean, we went on vacation and we never came back, right? I mean, and we were making it powerful. We were praying to be a light and to shine and to be there with our colleagues and with the kids and to get that kind of reception it filled our
Take your breath away moment.
yeah. But I mean, it confirmed that God put it on our heart for us to be there because it encouraged us in such an amazing way. And like Deb said, we'd have our Bible study buddies that come over and helping us out with like bringing our plants and stuff and doing all these things. And they would come and say, well, we were planning on coming to cheer you up. And it turns out that you've cheered us up, because that's just how she operates. Right. And so I was praying that the Spirit would speak through me because I got a chance to thank everybody. And I talked for, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And it was like nothing I've ever experienced before. After that, the gal that's our HR gal said, hey, she had thought about maybe sending out an email later because at the beginning of the year you get a bunch of emails. And she's like, Doug, I think that we should send something out because I feel like there's a buzz.
Asking for sick days.
Asking for sick days, which Deb had mentioned earlier. And it was crazy. It was probably 3 months at the most before we had received. First, we received enough for Debra to have a full year. Yep. And then she kept pushing and pushing. So last year, Deb received all her benefits. So our insurance, her paycheck, which allowed us to not have to worry about our house in Wenatchee at the time. We still could handle both those. They blessed us in so many ways, and we ended up now Deb's 6/10 this year, which means we still have our insurance. Which even though it's not always easy to navigate, it's really good insurance, and it's provided a lot of PT and a lot of her chair and all these things have been taken care of. and that was, that was the generosity of our, it felt like family. I mean,
yeah.
between Deb and I, we had 40 years combined teaching in the district. Deborah had taught at how many buildings, son? Like 5? 4 buildings. And, wherever she went, she was loved. And so it was a powerful moment, buddy. And I really had felt like God was providing for us from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, when we get the flight home within a week, because when Deb, after her first day, she couldn't talk. She was incubated, and it was hard.
Yeah.
And each day would get a little better and get a little better. And it was our boys that were instrumental in making that happen. So we've had so many different things that didn't come from us that the Lord put on somebody else's heart to help us out with. And that was such a huge honor. And it just really speaks to Deborah and just how beloved she is.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And so God providing.
So hindsight, I feel like God put it on my heart to go back that day so people could see us. But then in the spirit of them seeing us, they were so generous in donating enough days to cover me for a year and a half to get me to my 30 years.
That's amazing.
Vested retirement. So,
Praise God.
Praise God.
Yeah, in the midst of a major, disorienting, unexpected.
And my sweet nieces, set up a GoFundMe, which allowed us to buy a wheelchair van and pay to have our son remodel. Our one-level house in Spokane was great, except it had no shower access. Yeah. So he, with the help of his family and friends, we were able to pay to have that remodeled. So, God's just taking care of us.
Yeah, yes. Big time.
What would you say? So what would you say? I mean, you're still in it. You don't need to brush that to the side. But you're also 18 months through it. And what would you say you're learning? What would you say are things that have brought hope and joy, even in the midst of great trial and suffering?
Well, I'll start.
Yeah.
I've really embraced how important each day is.
Yeah.
And it's such a cliche, but we try. On my way to work, it was beautiful. It was 5 miles to Eastmont. I'd ride my bike, or if I was driving, and you're right along the river, and you're just looking at the Cascades.
Wenatchee is gorgeous.
It's beautiful, right? Yeah. And it's like I really tried to be present and enjoy and be. Not take for granted, but you do, you do. And I just, each day, I start with a grateful heart and just thankful for, like I said, that Deb is so present. I mean, the fact that she didn't hurt her head is, that's miracle number one. And the way she's healed and her resilience and her spirit, it just makes it so much easier to care for somebody that, number one, you love, but now it feels like it's expedited, it's increased in a different way. Our Bible study group in Grace City, and they're our lifetime friends too. Sure. I mean, they're all teachers, husband and wife teachers, just like Deb and I. They've taught our kids, we taught their kids, and they rallied for us in such a big way.
Was that tough? Because you not only abruptly left a teaching community, you also you had a church community, and it was just bam. You probably maybe were able to visit them or vice versa, but then all of a sudden, and then you found a new church, which is True Hope. Yes. And we'll talk about that, of just how that journey here has shown God's grace and care and kindness for you. But man, even that on a spiritual relationship level, that's also abrupt.
It was. It felt like we were in the wilderness there for 7 months, because we went from Sunday church and Tuesday was at our house for Bible study, and Thursday I did a Stronger men's group, and that was the rhythm of
your life.
Yeah, and that was what kept me, right where I needed to be. Yeah, and it was a great rhythm, and they're dear friends, and so that was hard, but I just still felt the need to still just get closer to God
Yeah.
and to seek Him, and His presence was around us and has been around us, but we're consciously seeking and just thinking about, focusing on the blessings of each day.
Yeah,
And there
yeah.
there truly has been, Deborah, right now we can say, wow, a year ago you couldn't have done that. And
Yeah.
now look at you. And when people haven't seen her for a while, it's almost like a grandkid or something. You don't see them for 3 months. Then they'll see Deborah and like, man, you seem like you're sitting up taller and you're really moving more and you're getting stronger. So God is working in physical ways, but also just leading us here as well, and finally getting plugged into a church community again. But he was covering us that whole time and leading us in this direction.
What would you say? Like anything you're learning, or maybe moments of surprising joy, or moments of vulnerable question and frustration? All the above.
Oh gosh, everything you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride and waves of good and bad and highs and lows. And I had a friend start to ask me about bad days, and I was like, I don't have bad days. I can't give it a day. I can give a little bit of time to sadness and grief, but I can't give it a day, because it could so easily consume you. So I allow myself to grieve, and Doug has graciously allowed me to do that, because I think it's hard for husbands when their wives are sad, they want to fix it.
Yeah.
And this has been really hard for him to know when to try to cheer me up and fix it, and when to just let me grieve. So I definitely had some lows, but I try not to give it too much time or effort, because I think I mentioned to you the war between my ears.
Yeah.
Is I know just Satan trying to, take me back to that day or remind me of everything I lost. And so I try to desperately just try to intentionally turn my thinking from, wait, whoa, Deb, you're going in a rabbit hole. You need to start thinking about all your blessings. And I just kind of have to mentally pull myself out of it. But it's hard. It's hard to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Yes.
Because grief is a strange beast.
It is.
With many layers, and it hits you when you least expect it. And I'll start crying sometimes. It's something little, and he'll be like, wait, you were just happy. Why are you sad? And it could just be, I thought of something, or I heard a song, or it's just something little, But there have been those lows, but I would say the joys have been the outpouring of love and support
Yeah.
from family and friends. I told Doug at one point, I don't think I've told more people I love them in the last year and a half
Wow.
than I have leading up to that. So I guess I was reminded that there are so many people I love that I hadn't told them,
Yeah.
because I thought there'd be a tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so now the beautiful thing is, there have been so many people that I've just told them we love you, and they say it back, and it's just the outpouring of love has just been it's been beautiful, overwhelming at times. It's just been like, how can people be so kind and generous? And
Yeah. That's beautiful. My mind just goes to so many. Obviously, this is your story, but the scriptures talk about, Lord, teach us to measure our days. And sometimes when we live in the comfortable ignorance that we are guaranteed tomorrow, and that tomorrow will look exactly like yesterday. Yeah. And your story is an example of your tomorrow one day in Mexico looked very different than your yesterday. And how jarring that is, and how difficult that is. But one of the hidden graces is that disguised grace is to enjoy today, to worship God today, to hold on to God today, and count your days and know, or measure them in the sense of, I'm not owed tomorrow, and I have this, and God is good. It reminds me of, we just taught on this at True Up Church, but holding on to God is the only way. Holding on to God today is the only way to reorient my relationship to my past and to properly shape whatever relationship I have with the future. And Yeah, I just think that's beautiful. One thing I try to encourage Emma, our daughter, who's in a wheelchair, and it's been our little phrase for years. The way we get through hard things is we show love to others.
Amen.
And you just mentioned it. Like, I've told more people I love you than I can remember. Like, I've done that more in the last year. And I think it's because the way we get through grief is we have a road to choose. We can either turn inward in our head, as you mentioned, and it just gets dark, or we can live outward in love and just go, I don't have all the answers to my questions, and you don't, and I don't, we don't.
Right.
I don't have the answers to all the questions of why'd this happen, God, and what are you doing through this? And I'm not sure I prefer this, but what?
Oh, I've said many times, I don't want to live like this, God.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then it comes down to, am I going to hold on to God in this moment I have and show love to others? And paradoxically, it brings joy and life to us. The way we get through hard things is showing love to other people. And I think it's beautiful to hear you say that. And I think that's something we try to encourage our daughter with in a similar circumstance. So that's so good.
Well, when the grandkids are on her lap too, she's got a big grin, and we've been able to spend a lot of time with our
That's
grandkids,
beautiful.
which has been such a huge blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely been part
definitely.
part of the best medicine that we
Yeah.
get, and it's knowing like I can call my boys and they're on their way.
Yeah.
You know, that's who they are.
Yeah.
And we can count on them to
Yeah.
be there, and so those are blessings. And
It's good. So many things you guys feel like. So you have learned and are learning. I mean, community was crucial. Both your family and extended families. I mean, helping you get through that initial week and the finances, then coming back, going through the understandable kind of dark season of 5 months, 4 months of just like massive grief and extremely disorienting adjustments, because it's like your whole world changed overnight. But then that story going back to Eastmont and the teachers and the community there and how God uses that. And then, yes, the abrupt loss of a church family because of proximity and location, but then the eventual finding of a new one. Maybe just touch on that. You guys are newer to True Up Church. One of the things why I like doing this podcast and I want to do more of it is I want people in our church to hear each other's stories. Mm-hmm. And I want people to realize how powerfully God is at work in people that you guys are both greeters on hospitality. Mm-hmm. And people may not know this. I pray after this, they listen to this podcast, they now have a whole backstory to what you guys have been through. So just walk us through that journey of True Up Church. And I don't mean this to be self-promotional in any way. You guys can steer the wheel here, but just like, what is it about this community of people that has been a blessing to you, that's helping you see God in this new season and continue to trust him and where he's leading you?
All right. Well, I would say once we got home to Spokane, and we were kind of trying to figure out our lives, we realized we desperately wanted to get back into church life. So we went to a couple of other churches, kind of, I guess you'd call it church shopping.
Yeah.
And our oldest son and his wife were doing the same thing. They had just moved back from South Carolina.
Okay.
So we were both looking around for churches, and I think they mentioned True Hope first. And so we first drove here one day, Doug could just see if I could even get in.
Yeah.
And so
Totally.
he came and took a look at it, and then
Tracy's gave me a tour around.
Okay.
And showed me around and was super warm and kind.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then our first time we attended, we came in a little late and all the doors were shut. So we didn't know where to go. And there was only one other person in the hallway, and it was Jesse. And Jesse was all wet. It must have been a baptism morning or something.
Oh, he probably was.
Because he had on a wet T-shirt.
Yes.
And we didn't know Jesse from anybody, but he greeted us so kindly and told us what door to go in. And at the end of the service, he came over and talked a little bit more about us. And we told him our story, which I can now talk about without always crying. But I cried at that time. and Jesse just prayed over us. And it was an instant, wow, like an instant connection. We felt loved, and it just felt so comfortable.
It's awesome.
And he went out of his way to make us feel welcome there. Or welcome here. And I guess, and then it just grew from there. We got to know more people, and Doug and I both taught in Spokane for many years. Doug did Rogers High School and then Deer Park School District.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was in the Meade School District.
Yeah.
So we still
So you
have
knew some
moments.
people.
Yeah.
We still have moments we're still running into former students
Yeah.
that are like, hey, I think I know
That
you.
happened on Sunday. I was talking to somebody and they mentioned that you were their coach or teacher or something.
It was, I think, Danny.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Danny
Yes.
Smith. He
Yes.
was at Deer Park. And,
It was.
Yeah. And no, that's been
cool.
It's been really cool to make those connections.
Yeah.
And but we went to Life Center a couple times, and I think Deb was still getting comfortable with being out in public and doing that, and we could kind of slide in because it's such a big church.
Yeah.
And slide out. But yeah, when we came here, we felt covered, and we felt welcomed big time. And each time we came, it grew.
That's
and
cool.
grew. And we feel like we were definitely called to be here.
Yeah.
And missing serving and doing those things that we did at Grace City, it felt just normal for us to step up. And it was like, well, what can we do? Well, we both like to smile, and so
you guys are great.
It was like, hey, maybe we should be greeters. Like, okay, I'll be setting myself up for my Walmart job when I'm all done now. This is way better than Walmart. No, and it's we love it too. Like I said, because we're making those connections.
Yeah.
And we're running into people like Sean is the kid that played 1990 he graduated. He's 53.
Yeah.
And I was his coach that year. So it's been fun making those connections and that. But we also just appreciate you and how you guys go through, book by book and verse by verse, chapter by chapter. And it feels like home.
Cool. Yeah. So let's kind of end with this. What would you say to someone who's going through their own either abrupt or slow suffering?
I'll go first if you don't mind. You need to be in the Word. You need to seek God's presence daily. And, Pastor Josh would always say, make sure you put God in the middle of your day. And when I first started, getting into reading my Bible and that, I'd do it in the morning and then I'd pray at night, and kind of in between there, I had a good buddy of mine, Mike Waters, that would say in our men's group, like, hey, why don't you just seek his presence when you need it? You're frustrated with this 7th grade boy. Before you go out there, why don't you ask for the Spirit to help you?
Yeah, that's good.
I was like
He's right here.
He's right here. He wants to help. He's like, tag, you're in. And that was some of the best advice I ever got. So I've been seeking his presence, and I've been praying for, to serve my wife with joy and to serve her in a way that she deserves, and just so she's respected. And the good Lord has just blessed us, and I think shortening my sight to just try to be a day by day and count each blessing. I mean, now, we're in a group. So we get into our community group, and Sean invites me to this men's group.
Yep.
This is a crazy story, but
my
my youngest son is an engineer, and he works with Drew, and Drew is in this men's group.
Yep.
And so Drew actually came over and helped remodel our house. Great guy. He had this group praying for Deborah and I, and we'd never met him from Adam, right? We didn't know any of these guys.
Wow.
Well, I think it's 8 or 9 months later, that November, I was in the group with these guys, and I remember one day Lauren's like, this is crazy. We were praying for you, and now you're here telling us your story.
And they got the news about what happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and they were like, so that was a full
That's
circle.
incredible.
That was another strong connection
That's
to the
incredible.
True Hope family.
Yeah.
And it just felt like
For context, in case people missed it, because of the kids, there was a report that their parents were in an accident, and it was a men's group that decided to respond and pray for you without even knowing you.
Yeah.
Then 9 months later, you end up back here and you end up in the church with the men's group that was actually praying for you before they ever
got
knew
it.
you.
Yeah.
And then that's like awesome.
Yeah.
A mark of God's providence.
Tell me that God's fingerprints aren't all over it,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So anyway, those moments. So I mean, I would encourage somebody that I never prayed so hard that night. I didn't know if Deb was coming home with me or not, but I felt His peace, and I had a friend send me, some scripture, and it was Philippians 4:4-7, and about the peace that transcends
Understanding.
Yeah, and I felt it, and I just.
All right, dude, man to man. A lot of times as husbands, we know we're to lead our wives, care for them. Now, because of this situation, you're in a role of partnership and care and help and support. How has God been at work in that in you?
Well, let's just say that Deb carried the weight of our 35-year marriage she probably still is, but she did the finances and she did the laundry, and she, with me being a coach, it was a lot of time, and I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time vested outside of the family.
She's holding down the home. She's holding down a lot of things.
I had a magic underwear drawer where it'd go empty and then it'd magically
keeps
be
coming
full
back.
again. Yeah. I was
know how that
this
happens.
is awesome, man. So I was a little ignorant to how much I wasn't serving my wife, and it's just been put on my heart that this is what I'm called to do right now. And I haven't had any moments where I was like, oh, poor me, or this sucks. I mean, it's obviously not our first choice, but I just feel like all the things that God has me doing now to care for my wife, it doesn't feel like a burden.
So what would you say to a husband right now who's listening to this and he's struggling to cherish his wife, to want to serve her? Maybe he's distracted and caught up with all sorts of things. How could you lovingly, but also man to man, say to that man, you need to wake up?
Well, it's in the book that we're supposed to love our wife like Christ loves the church.
Yep.
And I guess I didn't realize how much Christ loves all of us. And I would say that, and again, my buddy Mike at men's group, we would talk about, because it's easy as a man, it's easy as a spouse to invest so much in your work and what you're doing, and then when you come home, it's time to relax.
Yeah.
And Mike and I talked with several of our other guys about how, no, when you come home, it's time to serve, and if you have to pray for 15 minutes or whatever in your car before you go in the house, you clear your mind and you get ready to go to work. And it's changed a lot of things, and Deb can tell you if I'm full of baloney or not, because she's always good at that about my truth teller. But it's just changed the way I look at serving, and it doesn't feel, it's like I said, it doesn't feel like a burden at all. And the one thing I would do is I'd cook the meals for the most part, and Deb would do the dishes. Well, now we got a new dishwasher, and that's awesome. So the dishes are easier. I've never thought I'd love a dishwasher. I never thought I'd drive
These
a van.
inventions are amazing.
I know. So anyhow, I would just say, that you really need to reevaluate and cherish what you've married, the wife of your youth, and just know that that's what we're called to do. Yeah. And not just our wife, but our family, but definitely it starts right there.
Yeah. Deb, for you, this is pretty, we're okay with however this flows, but what would you say to someone that maybe, and this doesn't make you the expert.
Right.
It just makes you honest about how you're processing this. What would you say to someone who's maybe experiencing some suffering?
Gosh, I would say, that just trust God's timing. That's something we're praying for every single day, because I think sometimes when you hear people's testimonies or, their stories of hope, things seem to happen so easy and so quickly. And in our fast-paced world, we want instant results. And the grind of this is not going to by any means go fast. This suffering is slow. but it's gotten better. And so I would say, just if your life isn't, that happy ending just yet, that it takes time. My son and I were talking about, you talk about chains broken, like, hey, I'm a Christian, bam, all the chains are gone. And it's not always like that.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a
Yes.
link at a time. And I feel like that's where we're kind of at, a link at a time. Just chip away. But it takes being in the Word, being around people that love you and support you.
Yeah.
And then, just lots of prayer.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of prayer when your mind tries to go someplace else.
Yeah.
And tries to come up with answers that are from the flesh,
Yeah.
that aren't from
Yeah.
that aren't from God. You just have to be very, very intentional. To not let that.
That's good.
We talked when we had lunch, there's the stages of grief, right? These are some psychological tools that I think are valuable and helpful, that when we go through a trying or traumatic or difficult event, we have what we start with usually, isn't it denial? Is it shock? Shock or denial in the first stage.
Yes.
And then we move to some level of, what's number 2? How can I not remember these? It's denial.
Anger.
Yeah, it's a denial, anger, bargaining,
Acceptance.
I'm missing one in there somehow. Maybe it's shock. Is that the first one? I can't
Yes.
remember.
It seems like it's
Shock.
I think it was shock. And then,
Shock,
then
and then denial, and then anger, and then bargaining, and then acceptance.
Yes.
And I listened to someone say that actually there's a 6th movement that we need to recover, which is meaning. And I think that's really, really important. It takes time to get there, obviously, but when we experience shock of like, I don't know what's happened, then we ignore, minimize, kind of go inside. And then during that time, we can experience different levels of anger, which can manifest itself in different ways. And then, only if, but what if, how about, and we start doing that. And then eventually we come to a place of acceptance. But I think there is an important, needed final movement of meaning, of recognizing that there's nothing that can happen to us in life that God cannot turn and use to help us see Him more clearly, enjoy Him more deeply, and share Him with others more passionately. And I just want to say to you, Deb, I think this is a small part of that. I don't want to act like I have the ability to speak to the whole story, but even just being willing to come here, share, both of you, just your journey, how you didn't plan for this happened, how you've held on to God in the midst of it, how you've leaned on community and dug into His Word and committed yourself to prayer and guarding your thoughts and just being willing to share this, because so many people, I know as a pastor of a large church, on any given week or month, people are losing loved ones, someone's dying, someone's kid is giving up on the faith, someone's losing a job, someone's, has a physical diagnosis that they're, stressed by, labored by, that could mean death, that could mean whether it's cancer or it's a tumor or it's a aneurysm or a stroke or a heart attack. When you're working with and living life with people, all those things are a part of it. And I just think what I think is powerful about that final movement of meaning is, and again, what does that mean? Sometimes we go, well, I want a very clear, you talked about it. I influence these kids and I can feel it and it's tangible and this seems good. I want to just invite us to lift our lens a little bit from meaning for me to see God more clearly, to enjoy Him more deeply, and to share Him more passionately is always going to bring meaning about suffering in our life. It's not always easy by any stretch, but seeing Him clearly, enjoying Him deeply, and sharing Him more passionately. So I just want you to know, I think you guys are doing that. You are giving glory to God in a very trying, difficult situation you never saw coming and you never asked for. And yet here you are, right? And it's the what's the Forrest Frank song? The world be,
Lemonade.
yeah, dude.
Where's Bobby when you need
Bobby.
him?
It's the world be giving me lemons, but my Jesus, he be making lemonade. Lemonade. And it's a goofy song, but it's actually undergirded by tremendously powerful truth. And it's not, we can't compare, right? Sometimes we want to do that.
Right.
Like I want to look at, your story and compare it to this person or my daughter, or someone compares that. And it's like, we actually don't gain a lot of fruit from that. The reality is what I hope produces hope for people on this podcast is all of us have and all of us will face unexpected suffering. We will. That is unfortunately a part of life on this side of eternity. And God doesn't leave us. He doesn't abandon us. He walks with us, and he reveals that by people and his word to help us to see him more clearly, enjoy him more deeply, and share him more passionately. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Man, that was really good. I don't want to mess it up.
You're not going to mess it
No,
up.
but I just echoing what you said, just as far as community and one of the nights we were down there, and I got a chance to stay with my boys, and we had a powerful night of prayer.
Yeah.
And my oldest son said, "Dad, I'm so glad this didn't happen like 6 years ago, because we wouldn't have had a foundation to stand on."
Wow.
And I feel like, Grace City and all the growth that we
The journey
had
you
there,
were on, yeah.
and with the schedule that I shared with you that we were on,
Right.
that God was doing a work in us, and I don't want to say he was preparing us for us, but it certainly feels like he was. So.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the Jesus parable, right? The winds will come, the rains will come, but he whose house is built on the rock, it stands, it endures. And so the thing I think is interesting about that parable is, the rains and the winds come. Like I said, everyone, in varying degrees is going to experience unexpected suffering in this life. But the good news is take heart. Take heart. How? In Christ, because he's overcome the world. He's overcome the world, and he's given us his spirit, and he's given us the body, the church, and he's given us his word. And if we will, step by step, I love that, day by day, or as you said, chain link by chain link, chain link by chain link will allow him to help us see him more clearly, enjoy him more deeply, and share him more passionately. We can see meaning come out of our stories of even suffering. And that's what we pray. I pray that is continuing to happen and unfold for you guys, that a story of tragedy because of the gospel of Jesus Christ is being flipped into a story of hope. I feel that when I talk to you guys. I feel that. I feel encouraged. I feel like there is hope for the things that we walk through, and it helps me trust God more. So thank you. Thank you so much for being vulnerable, for being courageous. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being a part of this. And I just pray God would use this to his glory. And I pray you get people at our church too coming and chatting with you, and they have a little bit of context now for what you've walked through, and that God would just use this to encourage others, whatever they're walking through in this time. So thank you guys. Love you.
Yes,
Thank you too. Love you too.
You guys are awesome.